Hello and welcome back for a new episode of the 9521 Atlanta Baseball Podcast. I am Jason, your co-host, and my co-host, Michael Simpson, will be joining us momentarily as we are ready to talk about another week of Atlanta Braves baseball and look ahead as we continue to steamroll towards October and hopefully another Braves postseason appearance, although that has become a little more shaky the last week and a half or so than it was previously. But tonight, we really want to kind of change our focus a little bit from just talking about what has happened and what might happen to really digging into some stats and just changing the pace a little bit here. Maybe a little less ranting and raving at Alex Anthopoulos this week and more analysis of the actual statistical data, some of which bodes well for Atlanta and some of which maybe not. So we're going to dig into that and take a good look at some of the stats. We're going to break it down position by position and compare each position to the rest of the league for the Braves and see how they stack up against the rest of the major leagues. So first of all, really quickly, of course, going back to last week, go on the road, a sweep at the hands of the Minnesota Twins, not ideal. The Twins are in contention for a postseason spot, but they are also a below 500 baseball team. And just a rough series in Minnesota. Struggled with the bats, which has become a little too commonplace for Atlanta. And got out of Minnesota just in time. It was not pretty. And unfortunately had to follow that up with a road trip to the Milwaukee Brewers, who've been, for a lot of the season, the best team in baseball record-wise and continue to make their way towards the NL Central Division title. And we had the big Chris Sale versus Jacob Misiorowski matchup to get things started. Both of these games played on a Friday afternoon. That was purposeful by MLB to give the teams a chance to kind of get ahead of having to travel on Sunday for the Little League Classic in Williamsport. So that was the reason for the two afternoon games in Milwaukee. And so we kind of missed out on prime time Chris Sale versus Jacob Misiorowski. So, but it came out in the favor of the Brewers, and it was a low-scoring game, just like we would have expected that game to be. And unfortunately, the Braves came out on the short end of the stick there. Sale did his job as usual. He's had a terrible time this year with run support, of course, and Friday was no different for Chris. 2-1 loss, of course, and Sale again did all he could do. He went 6. He gave the Braves a quality start there. 6 strikeouts, no walks, only gave up the 2 earned runs. Unfortunately, Misiorowski was every bit as good as we have seen him be all season. The Braves did beat him last time out, but this time he got the better of him. Misiorowski went 6, allowed no runs, K'd 6, and walked 2. So after that, the Brewers bullpen did give up a run to the Braves, but it was not enough as Atlanta fell in Game 1. And in Game 2 as well, the Braves go down. And again, the offense playing a part in that, only 1 run scored in Game 2. So after the first 2 games, the Braves had a grand total of 2 runs against the Brewers pitching staff. Probably had a little bit of a chance early against Logan Henderson to make some more hay in that game and score some more runs, but it did not happen. And Atlanta found themselves on the losing end of Game 2. Thankfully, Game 3, the Braves were able to come out and finally get one in this series and not get swept again. And this was the Little League Classic, and I don't know what everyone thinks about that. I like the Little League Classic. I like the Field of Dreams game. They're just kind of a change of pace. And, of course, anytime you can get the kids involved in baseball, I think that's a huge, huge deal. And it was really cool to see the kids interact with the players like it always is in this event. It's only a few years old, but it's really cool to watch this. The Braves pound out 11 hits, so finally got some offense. Didn't take advantage of all the chances they had. They ended up 4 for 13 with runners in scoring position, still left 9 men on base, but they got enough of them home to get a 4-2 win. Um, and a big insurance home run by Michael Harris in the ninth, as Harris continues to have a very, very solid year. Should have been the all-star center fielder, of course. And the Braves got another good start out of Tyler Mahle. Maybe that's going to be a better move than a lot of us thought. I'll admit that was not on my bingo card that Tyler Mahle would be as good as he's been, as our co-host Michael Simpson joins us. And Michael, I'm just running down the weekend series with the Brewers real quick before we get into some other talk. But we're talking about Tyler Mahle, another good start for him on Sunday as he kind of bails us out, and the offense does enough. I've already mentioned they got 11 hits, still only 4 for 13 with runners in scoring position, but it was enough to get the job done. Iglesias scares us a little bit again in the ninth, but a huge double play, a really great double play. There were a lot of things in this game I thought probably weren't the best example for little leaguers, but I think that double play was one of the positives. Really nicely turned by the Braves, saved the game quite possibly. But Mahle, 5 innings, only 1 earned run. He did walk 2, but he struck out 4, Mike. So I kind of ran through the week really quickly, the sweep at the hands of the Twins. The big Mizurowski sale showdown on Friday, which was pretty much what everybody expected, a 2-1 game. The offensive struggled, but then pulling that one out yesterday, and another good performance by Mahle. So of all the things I've said about what Alex Anthopoulos didn't do at the deadline, Mahle seems to be one of the positives so far, right? So I'll turn it over to you for a second and give your thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, he's like been the crown jewel of the trade deadline for pitchers for in the entire league. I feel like I don't
Yeah.
think anyone else
Yeah.
that's moved teams has done as well as he has. Like I've been quite shocked. I mean, they must have found something in his pitch repertoire that is working better now with what he does with them.
Yeah, I mean, look, you can't argue with the results. I'll try to get some stats pulled on him before we're done. I got a lot of other stats pulled. I haven't pulled Mallay's, but my gut feeling is, and I think I saw a graphic on this, Michael, where he is actually probably the best pitcher or performing the best of the pitchers who were moved at the deadline. So definitely better than I would have expected. I thought he might be okay as like an innings eater, but
Yeah,
I didn't see this coming. I mean, he's been better than okay so far.
yeah. I mean, he AA found a diamond in the rough somehow. I mean, we were screaming for Casey Mize. He hasn't looked good. We wanted Robbie Ray. I I honestly haven't heard anything good or bad from him. So clearly, I mean, all I'm hearing is how Mally has been really good for us and looked the best out of all the pitchers that were moved. It's kind of shocking. Like, I mean, that not the name, not any name that I would have like barely even heard of him when he was on San Francisco. Like, quite
Yeah,
shocking.
no, I mean, look, yeah, I knew about him. I knew he had struggled, but then had pitched really well the last several starts before we acquired him. So there was that hope that he would keep it going, and obviously he has. So 5 starts now. I've got it pulled up. So 5 starts, 2-1. He's got a 2.76 ERA. That's 29 and a third innings pitched. So he's given us the innings that we needed. He's allowed 9 earned runs over those innings. He struck out 32 and walked 7. You can't really argue with that. That's
Nope.
that's the kind of ratio you want to see there. He has given up 3 dingers, but no complaints here from Mahle. He's given the Braves a chance to win every start he's been in. So definitely, again, I can be negative, but I'm giving Anthopoulos his kudos on that move. And look, when he's gotten to play, Lane Thomas has been okay. I think he needs to play more. And Sutter's been okay. So it was never for me, by the way, about the moves he did make. I didn't really have a problem with
Mhm.
any of those moves. It was the moves he didn't make that what I was upset about. But the one move I kind of wish he had made and added another bat was probably JJ Bleday, who hit for the cycle the other day. But other than that, it was mainly my focus was around pitching. But pitching, as we mentioned last week, doesn't seem to be the problem for the Braves lately. It's more the bats. And so we have to hope that the bats start to get hot. So that being said, I pulled a lot of stats, and really they're more team related than individual. So we'll talk about that. And one of the things I pulled here, Mike, we're on a new format here, a new streaming service, by the way, as we have joined with the Rounding Third Media Network. So we are extremely excited to be a part of that. We're going to continue to collaborate with those guys. Rounding Third. If you're watching us on our X channel and you're not familiar with Rounding Third, please go to Facebook and all the socials, find them, follow them. They have the absolute best fan-driven baseball content on the global webs, on the interwebs, as us old people call it. Nick and Harrison, just an amazing job. And of course, we already collaborate with those guys on other projects, including shameless plug Wednesday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern, live on YouTube and X, and as many places you can find us on Clearing the Bases, where we all talk baseball. Everything's about the fan for our network, Michael. We're going to concentrate on getting people involved, and we want the fans to participate. We want comments. We want questions. And heck, we'll put people on camera if it takes that. We want everybody to be involved in this, Michael, as we move forward.
Exactly, and that's all that they're focused on, and everything that we're focused on. We want the fans to interact. We want them to drive the conversation, if they can, and that's what they're all about, and what we're all about. I've enjoyed listening to and watching their shows since for over a year now. That's where I kind of learned about them, and then everything went from there. But great bunch of guys. The entire network. Nick and Harrison are outstanding. I love listening to those guys. But yeah, I can't wait for all of us to collaborate and get the whole thing up and going.
Yeah, we don't want to make their heads too big, but they certainly do. They certainly do a great job, and they deserve the kudos because look, they're giving us a great opportunity to join forces, and we're going to take advantage of it and continue to bring you great Braves coverage on Monday nights live, and you may see some new faces here and there as well. So looking forward to that. So all that being said, let's talk about some stats. If I can figure out how to share my screen correctly, that's going to be the trick. Let's see if this works. Mike, tell me if you can see what we want to. So
I can see some stats from StatHead.
All right, let's see. Can you see it well?
I can see it pretty well.
Okay. All right. I can't see it when I'm looking at it, so I'm gonna have you be my eyes as we go through this. But this is for Baseball Reference StatHead, which is a go-to for us baseball stat geeks, and I have used it a lot. So shameless plug. I'm not paid anyway by Baseball Reference or StatHead, but if you are a baseball fan who loves the statistical aspects of baseball, please check out Baseball Reference. A lot of their stuff's absolutely free. You can get a subscription to StatHead and kind of dig into some of these stats. So this actually, to have pulled up, you can get for free. This was not anything you had to have a subscription for. But this is looking at position by position. And actually, I'm on the wrong screen. Forgive me. Let me get to the correct screen. There we go. Baseball Reference. This position by position, B-WAR. So I know a lot of people are not super fans of WAR, but it is a great way to just take a quick glance at how a season for a team or a player is going. So this is all going to be based around the team totals. And so this is position by position, comparing each team and their B-WAR. So the Braves, if you look over to the top left, they are 5th in total B-WAR. That's across the board. That's hitting, that's pitching, that's defense, that's everything put together. The Braves are at 9.8 B-WAR for the year, which puts them 5th in Major League Baseball, which is pretty darn good, right? The only teams in front of them are all playoff contenders as well. The highest team that they're even technically a playoff contender themselves, the Detroit Tigers, there at 7th. But so the Braves are 5th. Now, if we start breaking it down, Michael, and let's look at just starting pitching. The Braves fall to 6th, but that's still really
the starting pitching. That's the first one I can see. I can't see any further left from that. That's the only one.
Okay.
That's the first one. Just
we're gonna have to play around with it. So all 4 people who are watching, if you'll just bear with us a second, let me see if I can share a different way. Let's do this. Did that help or hurt? Same. Or is it the
kind
same?
of hurt.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe the same.
Oh, I see. I
Can
know what to
you
do. I think
can you grab it
I
and
got. I'll
move it
take
a
that.
little bit?
Well, I think what I can do here is. Hmm, can you still hear me?
I can still hear you.
All right. And then if we can
I
maybe.
can't. I was gonna say, and I can't put it on screen, but I do see your comment, Mike Reed, and you're welcome for Eli.
Yeah. Yeah. You're welcome, Mike. You're welcome. Okay, that didn't help either, did it?
Not really, because it's
Ah,
made it even smaller.
that might be as
Okay,
good
yeah,
as it gets right there. That might be
that's
as good as it
perfect.
gets.
Yeah,
You guys take
that's
my
good
word
enough.
for it. Perfect. All right. So the Braves overall fifth in total B WAR, Michael 9.8, only behind the
Yep.
Brewers who were first, the Red Sox who were second, Dodgers, Yankees, and then Braves. Starting pitching, if you break it down by starting pitching, is the Phillies, the Tigers, the Yankees, the Brewers, the Dodgers, and then the Braves. So they're sixth in starting pitching B WAR. Relief pitching, they're fifth at a 1.9. So again, only behind the Padres, who are number one. And of course, Mason Miller has a lot to do with that.
Yep.
Yankees, Phillies, there's those Phillies again, White Sox, and then the Braves. So, I mean, pitching wise, those are really good numbers. And I think when we get to the hitting stats, they're not going to be as bad as some people might think. But so pitching, as we mentioned, Michael, not really the issue lately. And while we were very concerned about that going into the postseason, and I still have some concerns, when you look at these numbers, the Braves are basically top five in all pitching, top five in starting pitching, top five in relief pitching. So for the most part, even though we've kind of patched this thing together rotation wise, pitching's done its job, Mike.
Yeah, I know it's kind of shocking with the revolving door of starters that I feel like we've had. Somehow we are still top six in both starting pitching and relief. It's incredible.
Yeah, I mean, it's actually pretty impressive, and I want to give a lot of kudos to guys like Bryce Elder and Grant Holmes, and now Tyler Mahle and Martin Perez. Those guys they've had their moments where they've had clunkers, but for the most part, those guys have gotten us through to the end of the season here. We're down to a little over a month left, and we're in first place. And as tenuous as that first place feels right now, fact is, if it wasn't for those guys and their gutty performances, we wouldn't be here. So obviously Chris Sale gets thrown in there, but we know what we're going to get out of Chris Sale. Those other guys have stepped up and given the Braves more than I think any of us could have asked for, especially since we didn't go get anybody else at the deadline other than Mahle.
This is true.
All right, so let's look at some offensive positions here. Catcher, the Braves. You would have thought coming into the season, Michael, this would probably be a little stronger position, but of course, Baldwin was injured for a time. Murphy's been injured for a lot, and then both have struggled offensively since they've come back from those injuries. So the Braves are actually 25th in B WAR at the catcher position, and actually in the negative, Michael, negative 1.2 from the catcher position. You know, that's lower than I thought. I didn't think it would be as high just because of the injuries and the struggles that Baldwin's had by and large since he came back. But does that surprise you a little bit, Mike, to see it that low?
Yeah, I mean, I expect that just Drake would have had us a little bit higher than that. I mean, that's probably also factoring in Jonah Heim and Joey Bart and Sandy Leone. Sandy Leone's numbers were terrible, so that's probably dragging some of it down. Um,
Yeah, you're right. You're right. We did have a hodgepodge of catchers there while Joey Bart and all those guys, for sure. And Jonah Heim, who started hitting after he left the Braves. So
yeah,
you got to factor all those guys in as well. So that does a lot of explaining. First base, you're not going to believe this, but we're second. So that's the least surprising thing. Actually, the only surprising thing about that is we're not first. The Red Sox actually have the highest B WAR for first base. Braves are second, and it's not really close after that. 2.2 for the Braves, down to 1.6 is third. Olson over Freddie Freeman there, Mike.
well, I mean, that's we're not complaining that that Matt is overperforming Freddie. Freddie's on the downside of his career, and Matt's just on still. I would say in his prime at this point. Yeah, I mean he's an MVP candidate, so I'm not shocked by that at all.
Yeah, same. I mean, look, again, for a lot of the things I've criticized Anthopoulos for, that's one that I came out and said on Twitter the other day that, you can't really knock him for because it's worked out pretty well. So, Olsen, you mentioned it. He's in his prime. Freddie's probably on the backside of his career. There's only about, 4 years difference, I think, in age, but that's a big 4 years in baseball from, about 36 for Freddie to, I think, 32 for Matt. That's a big
Yeah.
difference in the game of baseball. So we'll definitely take that. And look, Matt should be an MVP candidate. He's definitely the Braves MVP. Not sure where they'd be without him. So not surprised to see the Braves in second for the first base position. Second base. So this would basically be, our guy Ozzy.
Yeah.
Let's see, 14th. Barely over 0.1 here on B War, 0.1. So, Ozzy, it's funny because for a long time, I thought Ozzy was having maybe his best season for the Braves, or at least in a few years. And now he's really taken kind of a tumble, Michael, lately. And it's kind of feast or famine with Ozzy. You're either going to get maybe a home run or a strikeout or a slow roller. He's really been on the struggle bus lately, which is reflected here in this B War number because really for the Braves at second base, it's Ozzy. I think he started all but one game here. So your thoughts on where Ozzy is right now, Michael, as he heads into maybe potentially the end of his Atlanta Braves career coming up?
Yeah, I hate to think of him playing for someone else, but I mean, he is basically average at this point. So, I mean, I can't complain if we end up having to move on from him. We've got some kids in the minors, so I like I said, I hate to see it, but there is a good chance that we have to move on from him.
Yeah, it'll be a shame, especially if as long as Acuna's still there. I mean, those two guys kind of seem to belong together. So it will be kind of a terrible day, honestly, to see those two separated. So we'll see what happens. I mean, Ozzy hopefully still has a run in him here, but the Braves probably need to start thinking about the future at second base. And we do have some young guys in the system that could possibly, hopefully, develop into that next talented second baseman. So we'll see how that works out. Third base, not a big surprise how low Atlanta is here. 20th in B War at a negative 0.8. A lot of people may be more surprised that it's not lower. Our Philly friends are actually dead last at third base. I don't think they're surprised by that at a negative 2. So 20th, and again, obviously most every game started by Austin Riley there, so that's the guy. And we don't want to belabor that point too much. We've beaten on Austin pretty good this year. He has ticked up lately, better since the All-Star break. We still need more out of him. We still need more out of Acuna, which we'll get to. But he has at least shown some ability to hit the baseball since the All-Star break, because pre-All-Star break it was really bad. So, 20th may be about right, considering that he's improved a little bit here, Mike, since the break.
Yeah, but with the start to his season, I'm happy with 20th, honestly, because it probably was a whole lot worse before the All-Star break. I'm willing to bet probably a lot closer to dead last than where he is right now. I'll take 20th.
I may have to go pull those numbers and just see where it was at. I mean, look, we need at this point just have a great September and a great October, Austin, and all will be forgiven. Yeah. And we'll forget all about the first 5 months of the season. Just do that, and that's true for a lot of the Braves players right now. Have a great September, help us keep the division lead, and then have a great October and give us a chance to compete for a championship. And I think most people will forget all about the rest of it, right? I mean, that's how it works. Shortstop.
Yeah, I will gladly take a great, end of the season from them, and it will definitely give me amnesia for the beginning of the season.
Yeah. No doubt. What have you done for me lately? Kind of thing for posing. For the Braves, a negative 0.6. Surprise there. No offense to Jim Jarvis, provide a spark for the Braves when they really needed it. He provided a little bit of a bat for a while, so that kind of ran out. Of course, zero production from Hassan Kim when he was briefly healthy, and they've really not used him at all since he came back. It's kind of, we may get into that a little bit. Kind of weird how little he's played and how many few at bats he's got since he returned. And then, when Bonds played there, that's probably the bulk of the positive side of that. Shortstop's been an issue, Michael, really since Dansby left. And if you look at numbers, Dansby hasn't been great for the Cubs, but he is steady. He's going to give you really good defense. He's going to provide some pop in the lineup. He's going to struggle a lot too. He's going to bat 220, 230 here and there. But really the Braves have not settled that position since Dansby left. We do have some talent in the minor leagues. Of course, they drafted, I don't know, what was it, Mike? We drafted like 5 shortstops. Was it last year before last? Like, not this past draft, but the one before maybe. We just drafted shortstops all over the place. So I think we're getting ready to make a change there.
Yeah, between like Saltacine and Lotis and Heel, we've got a decent amount of shortstops in the minors right now, and all of them look pretty good. So I mean, if it doesn't take much to beat out what Hassan Kim has done.
No, that's true. And look, we still have all those guys. We didn't trade any of them at the deadline, so there's still a lot of talent down there. And one thing we really need to get into is we do need to have an episode on the farm system. And I know there's been talk of maybe moving John Heel over to second, so he could be the Ozzie replacement one day. But we'll get into all that in a future episode, especially in the offseason. But, yeah, so the Braves moving into the left field position, Michael, I was a little bit surprised. The Braves are actually 8th in the left field position in B-WAR at a .6. So that's been kind of a revolving door as well. So a little surprised by this. I mean, right now I think it should be strictly a platoon situation with Yaz and Lane Thomas, but we've kind of pieced that together out there in left as well. Did this surprise you a little bit that they're that high at left field?
That they're ranked 8th, yeah, definitely. I mean, it is really is. It's a hodgepodge. It's Yes, it's Lane Thomas, it's Doobie. It's a lot of nothing settled out there, and to be 8th, I'll take it.
Yeah, it might be more a product. If you look at B-WAR numbers, if you guys can't see it clearly, there are a lot of low B-WAR numbers on here. The top B-WAR in left field is Seattle with a 2.4, and then nobody else is over 1. So being 8th might be more a product of just, kind of a league-wide slow year at the left field position than actual production from the Braves. Center field, of course, this is where we're going to rank pretty high as well. Michael Harris having a really good season, and the Braves are 4th with a 2.3 out in center field. The Cubbies a 6.1. I think we all know who that is there, PCA. Boston 3.9, and the Dodgers right in front of us at 3.7. So the Braves 2.3, that's good enough for 4th. And look, couldn't ask for more than Michael Harris has done. I would love to see Mikey stop swinging at some of those pitches, 6 feet out in front of him in the dirt. But other than that, he had a clutch home run in yesterday's game against the Brewers to give them some much-needed insurance. And he's just, he patrols center field out there. You just feel pretty good that no ball is going to get by him. Steady force there, Mike. And Harris might be headed towards being an even better player than we expected. Next year will be a really good test, I think, to see can he take one more step forward offensively and kind of become that all-around threat, kind of like Acuna was when he was healthy back in the day. I think Harris has the potential. And if we get to have a season next year, maybe we'll get to see that from him. But he's been really good this year, for sure. Should have been the center field all-star starter.
Yeah, Mike, he's definitely taken a step forward offensively. Defensively, he's where he was, but that's fine because he's one of the better defensive center fielders in the game. So I got no complaints there. But him taking a step forward this season compared to last, cutting down on the walks and not swinging at as much stuff out of the zone. I can't complain at all. And yeah, if he can take a step forward, he'll be, 3rd, 2nd. I mean, he could even possibly challenge PCA for like best center fielder in the game.
Yeah, I mean, look, his rookie season, we were talking about future MVP candidates, so I'd love to see him get to that point. So we'll see. Again, I think the next year or two really are going to determine is he going to be a really good player, or could he take another step and be a great player? We'll find out. Right field, the Braves are 11th. They have a .2, so a positive WAR barely, but they do. So that's been another hodgepodge with Acuna's injuries. It's a mixture of Acuna, Dubon's played out there, Eli White's played out there, Yaz has played out there. So altogether, you put all that together, the Braves have a .2 for right field. And, Acuna is the one I really want to talk about for a second here. Let's finish this off real quick, then we'll get to Acuna. So the Braves outfield overall, Michael, altogether, they're actually the third best outfield in baseball by BWAR at a 3.1. So despite, again, kind of like the pitching staff, despite having to kind of throw it all together and mix and match due to injuries and things of that nature, the Braves still third best outfield by BWAR. You can't really argue with the results. Of course, a lot of that is Michael Harris, but still, not too bad. Not too bad.
Yeah, it's like you said, just like the starting rotation, it's a hodgepodge, but it's a good enough hodgepodge to be top five, and I mean top three really, but like to be in the top five with what we're doing is quite shocking.
Yeah, I mean, look, we'll take it. Would love to see Acuna, and that's the one I want to kind of focus on real quick. He's still struggling a little bit, Michael. I mean, I mentioned, I think it was Saturday's game. He had, I think it was at 1.2 walks and a single. He was being a little more discerning about the pitches, drawing those walks. I had some hope, and then he had a couple of really bad at bats after that, and then yesterday, I just keep waiting for him to break out, and I don't know. Him and Riley continue to struggle catching up with really middle to low fastball, like not location, but speed, like 92, 93 mile per hour fastballs and sinkers. They're just missing them when they get the chance. And, when Riley went on that heater for about a week, a while back, it was really because he was on those fastballs. He was hitting those pitches that they're giving him on the plate instead of chasing those a foot off the plate. Same thing with Ronnie. He's just missing those fastballs and those sinkers. And I don't know where is at this point. I feel like he's had enough at bat to get his timing down. Um, I think it's safe to say, not in a mean or a pessimistic way, we've probably seen the best of Acuna, and the injuries have taken a toll. But I still think there's more than what we're seeing now. I think there's something better than this. And again, like with Riley, I guess we just hope that he finds it in the month of September and October. And those two guys, if they went on a run at the end of the season and into the postseason, they would give the Braves a shot, regardless. If those two guys could get going, I just don't know what the struggle is catching up with these fastballs.
Are they gearing up for like the faster speed with something like what Miz throws? Maybe, and they're not thinking about that 93, 94 mile an hour fastball, and they're just not expecting it to be that slow comparatively to what they're used to seeing. But I mean, I said this weeks ago. We just need the two of them to be average. We don't need them to be like MVP caliber. We just need them to be average, and we'll be fine going into like September and October.
Yeah, I just don't know if they can get there. I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope they can. I'm going to try to stay positive about it. I hope they can get there. I just, it kind of flabbergasted me because I've watched a lot of baseball and I cannot figure out how these guys can figure out how to hit a fastball, especially two guys that lived off of the fastball. That was what got Ronnie the MVP award. That's what made Austin Riley, we thought, a future MVP candidate and got him that huge contract, was his ability to hit the fastball hard and barrel it up. And both those guys have struggled mightily with that this year. So we'll hope they snap out of it. So real quick, I pulled it down, but DH, the Braves are dead break even, 0.0 BWAR at the DH position. Again, that's been kind of a mixture, a lot of Dom Smith in that spot. Drake has been in that spot a lot, trying to get him off his knees there. So would like to have seen more out of the DH position. And I do feel like the Braves in the offseason could have maybe upgraded there for DH. No offense to Dom Smith. He's had some huge hits this year, but he's also largely been a below average offensive player since late April. I had a couple of huge hits in April, and after that, it's been a little bit of a struggle, or a lot of a struggle. Didn't really replace Ozuna, Michael. And I think, as bad as Ozuna was at times, he was really good for a lot of his tenure in Atlanta. And we didn't really replace that production. And then at the deadline, we didn't replace that production either. So going forward into the offseason, I feel like that's a spot we gotta really focus on. We can't go forward with Dom Smith. No offense again to Dom.
Yeah, he had what, the walk off grand slam, uh, and that's essentially it. I feel like that's the biggest contribution he's given to us, and that was very early. That was Kansas City. That was what the was that the first uh, series of the
First thing
season.
it was, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, outside of that, I feel like he's been very pedestrian, if not below average. So I mean, it's yes, for with Acuna. I'm sorry, not Acuna. Ozuna. He could go on heaters. I don't feel
Yeah.
like Dom is gonna ever gone on a heater at all. Like, okay, a few base hits here and there, but I don't feel like he's. There was a time where he was really basically on the heater.
No, he was consistently good at taking good at bats, if that makes sense. He was never,
Yeah,
he would have professional at bats, is what we call them, right? He would work the pitcher. He might get down 0-2. He'd come back and make it 3-2, and sometimes he'd draw a walk. Sometimes he'd hit a single. But lately, it's gotten to be more he just strikes out or pops out or rolls out. But he will give you typically a better at bat than a lot of the guys in the lineup who go up there hacking at every pitch trying to hit a home run. So there was some value in that for a team that, as we've mentioned several times this season, has struggled walking. And that's one thing that stood out to me looking at the stats a couple weeks ago and looking at them again tonight. We'll get to that in a minute. But so, yeah, DH is something we're going to have to look at. Obviously, the starting pitching, depending on who's healthy and who's not, is going to be something going forward. But we got a whole off season and unfortunately maybe longer to talk about that as we move forward. Let's talk about some offensive stats. Where do the Braves rank in some categories that try to tell you a story? So I like OPS plus, Mike. I don't know what your favorite stats are. I like OPS plus. It's adjusted for ballpark. So on base plus slugging for those. I'm sure everybody who watches our shows know what these stats are, but OPS plus, the Braves currently sit at 98 OPS plus, which is good for 19th in Major League Baseball. And if you're not familiar with OPS plus, 100 would be considered league average. So the Braves are just below league average in OPS plus, which to me is a pretty good indicator of offense. Any thoughts around OPS plus there, Mike?
I mean the fact that we at given not right this second, but at points have had like a 9.5 game lead in a division and being a below average offense. It tells you that the pitching has been above average, even with how much of a hodgepodge. I know I've been overusing that tonight, but that's fine. It's a
Yeah.
good indicator of what our starting pitching is. So, but it shows you how good that has been to be able to keep us as good as we have been with a below average offense. I mean, we had a great April and May, but June was horrible, and the beginning of August, well, not the beginning, the last half of August has been kind of dismal.
Yeah, you're going to see that when we get to the pitching stats. That it's really hard to put these stats up where people can see them, but you're going to see that with the stats because on the pitching side, um, it's a lot better. I do want to point out though, because and look, I am not a fan of continually comparing this team or any future team to the 2021 team because I do think it's important to point out that the 2021 team was, I don't want to say once in a lifetime, Michael, but it was a lot of things had to happen for that team to do what it did, right? A lot of breaks had to go the Braves' way. I mean, that's just truth, whether people want to admit it or not. A lot of things had to go the Braves' way for 2021 to happen. A lot of breaks, and they did. And thank goodness they did. I mean, I'm very happy they did. Um, but continuing to compare this year and well, remember this is just like 2021. I think you're just setting yourself up for disappointment when you do that. However, I will point something out real quick, and I'm just going to say it instead of trying to throw it up on the screen because I've got it here, but it seems like it's too much trouble here. So the 2021 Braves, Michael, OPS plus at the end of the season. What do you think it might have been?
105, maybe tops. No,
98. Exactly the same as what this team is right now. And I'm just giving a lot of fire to those who say, just wait till October. But hey, look, I mean, numbers are numbers. They tell a story. And the fact is, this team has the same OPS plus as the 2021 World Champs did at the end of that regular season. And remember, that wasn't a great team in the
no.
regular season. It really wasn't. So, not too surprising, but I think it is kind of ironic that they're in the same exact place as the champs were that year. So, one other thing that I want to look at, or a couple other things. The 2026 team, this year's team is currently, we are seventh in the league in home runs hit, which is not bad. We have 168. That's good enough for seventh. The 2021 team was actually had 200 and I think it was 239. I pulled that stat down, 239. So we're not going to get near that. And they were second in the league in home runs. So even though we're seventh, which is pretty good, way behind the pace from that team. So the slugging percentage is significantly lower. I think 2021 was a 439. This year we're at a 411 slugging percentage. So while the OPS plus may be the same, we're not hitting as many long balls, and that was a huge key to the postseason. You remember Jock Peterson had a couple of big homers. Freddie, of course, had big home runs in that. Dansby had big home runs in the postseason. Eddie Rosario, I don't think we have to say Jorge Soler had some huge home runs in the postseason, right? So that this team's gonna have to pick it up. I mean, even Walt Weiss said the other day, they score with home runs, and when they're not hitting dingers, it's a struggle for this team to put runs on the board.
I would love for us to manufacture more runs. Like, how many times have we seen them with a man on third and less than 2 outs and no one gets them in? Just hit a fly ball, hit a deep enough fly ball to score them. Like, I remember Chipper saying at some point, not specifically about this team, but overall, just not seeing that anymore, and it's driving him up a wall, and it's true. I don't understand why we can't seem to lift a fly ball to right center or whatever, just to get that runner in. The point of the game is to score runs. Like, why are you trying to, like? I understand trying to hit a home run, but don't put the bat on the ball. Like, just get it out there far enough to score some runs.
Well, what's really aggravated me a lot of those times in that situation this season has been not even that they didn't score runs, but the at bats were terrible. They would get down 0-2, swing at bad pitches. The worst part is when you let a struggling pitcher off the hook, a guy that can't find the zone, and you go out there swinging at the first two pitches. That drives me insane too. So it's not just that they can't lift the ball. That's certainly a big problem. We know that most of them can't bunt, but it's also that the at bats have just been really, really horrible. So, but hey, look, they're still in a position offensively. Again, they're in the same position the 2021 team was. One other thing though, the walks, we talked about that. The Braves are, let me get this right here. They are third to last in the major leagues in walks drawn, 382. Toronto's behind them and San Francisco's behind them. In fact, if you look at the bottom 6 teams, the Braves are the only team in those 6 that is a legitimate playoff. I mean, Toronto is second to last. They're technically still in the race, but they're below 500. Yeah, everybody else in that bottom 6 are not playoff contenders. But I will say this, Philly's only 22nd in walks. I mean, they're, 8th from last. So, I mean, they're not really great at it either, even with their surge here lately. So, but you get into the postseason, and again, we go back to those home runs from 2021, Michael. One of the reasons those home runs were so huge is because most of them were multi-run homers because people were on base. And if you're not walking, you're not getting on base as much and setting up Matt Olson for the big 3-run homer, which the Braves are going to need going forward down the stretch here and into the postseason.
Yeah, draw some walks, get on, just get any which way you can, just to make sure that it's not a solo shot every time. That will help. It'll help us win games. The more runs you score, the better chance you have of winning. I know that's very simplistic, but it's very
How it
true.
works?
It is. That's actually how it works. The more
Yeah.
runs you score, the better chance you have of winning. I know, shocking, right?
Well, I'll say this: don't always assume that common sense prevails, because I had a long debate on X the other day about um, whether the division title is important anymore. And to me, it's a no brainer that it's just not. I mean, if you get one of the first two seeds, maybe, but we've even proven since the new format took over that that's not a guarantee. So right now, I know a lot of Braves, and I wanted to touch on this real quick, and then we'll talk some pitching stats. A lot of Braves fans are in panic mode because we might lose the division. That's not really the thing to worry about, to be honest with you, because the Phillies have climbed back into this thing. The Phillies and Braves, I think we can feel pretty secure now. They're going to battle to the end on this. For the next month, they're going to battle. And it's going to cost both of them, I believe, a chance to get one of those top two seeds. Brewers and Dodgers, they've pretty much – I think the Brewers have a 7-game lead on the Cubs. That's not insurmountable, but they've had that lead for a while now. I don't see them giving it up. And then the Dodgers, of course, are going to win the West pretty comfortably. Those two teams are probably going to pull away from the Braves Phillies, clinch the top two seeds. So then it's just a matter of who gets to host a wild card series. Because if you're the third division winner, you're just a wild card team. And I tried to make the point that not only does the division not matter unless you just are a fan of hanging those little blue banners up on the pole, because we won the division in 2022 and 2023 and then lost to the team that we beat out for the division in the first round of the playoffs. So it was really meaningless those 2 years. So the Braves players, I'm sure, are locked in, and I know they want to win the division. I'm not saying they don't care. They want to win the division, and I hope they still do. But they really need to just focus on winning games and make sure they don't slide completely out of this thing, because there are some hot teams vying for that NL wild card. And if any of them catch fire, like Cardinals got swept by the Phillies, but let's just say the Cardinals caught fire from here on out and the Diamondbacks continue to play good ball. All of a sudden, and the Phillies are still surging, all of a sudden you're not guaranteed anything. So I just want to point that out. Don't worry so much about the division, because Phillies and Braves probably are going to both end up in the playoffs, and they're probably going to both have to play in a wild card series. That's just the way it is. So the only advantage would be the Braves would get to host a wild card series if they can clinch that fourth or that third division spot. But tangent there I want to go off on. Let's talk some pitching. This is a much brighter view. Again, I'll just say them here and instead of trying to throw it up on the screen. The Braves are fourth in ERA plus. So again, much like OPS plus, ERA plus is simply ERA with the ballparks factored in. It adjusts for ballparks, right? So ERA plus, the Braves are fourth in the majors at a 117. So they are 17% better than league average on ERA plus. They're only behind the Yankees, Brewers, and Detroit. So the four teams you probably would have picked to have a better ERA plus than the Braves. So, when you look at that, Michael, and I did not pull 2021s. Yes, I did. Yes, I did. I did pull 2021s. I'm so proud of myself. 2021's ERA plus at the end of the season was 113. So this staff is actually 4 points better right now ERA plus than the 2021 team. Any thoughts around? We talked about the pitching a little bit. Any thoughts around that, Mike?
That's kind of shocking, because at least we had Charlie Morton, and we had Max Fried, and we had a young Ian Anderson but he was consistent at least. And then you had a little bit of Kyle Wright and stuff like that. But right now it's Chris Sale, and pray you don't have to pitch anyone else. If it's kind of how it feels like. Because we really don't have anything else. Yes, Martin Perez has been great. Malley has been good since he came over. Elder has had flashes, but nothing compared to having Max and Charlie out there. Those two were at least automatically going to give you 6. I felt like at least 6. And Ian kind of felt like that too, at least for a good amount. So we knew who our 3 starters were going to be in the wild card. And same thing going into the LCS. We had at least 3 pitchers. And did we kind of do a bullpen for Game 4? I can't remember. I know the
Seems
Dodgers
like
had a bullpen one.
Yeah, seems like it. I can't remember off the top of my head, but yeah, I mean, look, the starting pitching wasn't great that year. We kind of patched that together a little bit too. Remember, Morton went out in the first game of the World Series, so we had to
Yeah.
patch that together and still win the World Series. So I do agree with some of the commentary around the Braves that you can piece your pitching together in the postseason in a different way. And me and you discussed kind of how that might look if you have Grant Holmes potentially in the bullpen, which I don't know. For the most part, lately, the way he's pitched as a starter, I don't know if you put him out there or not, but you're going to have Raylo back soon. Hopefully Suarez, although I'm starting to get really worried about the Suarez situation.
Yeah.
I mean, we thought he was going to be back right after the All-Star break, and here we are coming up on September, and we're not even getting really good updates. All I know is he started throwing. What was it, a week ago we heard he started throwing? I haven't heard anything since. So a little concerning on that one. But regardless, you can patch together a pitching staff. We've seen it happen in the postseason before. You need a dog like Chris Sale. You need somebody to go out there and be your Madison Bumgarner, your Oral Hershiser type guy. But if you can piece together the rest of it, I think right now the Braves' bigger concern is the bats. Because I continue to look at these stats. Look, the Braves they're 14th in strikeouts. This is pitching wise. They're about middle of the pack in walks issued. I think walks have been a big issue for the Braves. Strikeout to walk ratio, they're about 14th. So pitching is – I still don't love the idea of going into the postseason with Tyler Mahle and Martin Perez and Grant Holmes as guys you got to rely on. But I do think you can piece it together more than in the regular season. I don't know. I don't know, Mike. What are your thoughts there?
I think outside of Chris Sale and possibly a Martin Perez, maybe AJ if he comes back and looks okay. But at least I think we can piece together something between Dylan Lee and Dylan Dodd and Iggy and I feel like we can piece something together at least and be okay. I just actually looked up a little bit and just to see if there was any info on Robert Suarez. And the last thing I can see of a knowledgeable reporter was Mark Bowman back 10 days ago saying that he progressed from 60 feet to 75 feet with throwing. That's 10 days ago, and if I hit latest, I'm not getting a whole lot of info. So I would love to have him back, but we have no info on him really.
Yeah. Look, we'll just have to wait, and look if he comes back healthy and he's fresh and ready to go for the postseason, that's fine. It just the longer it takes, the more worried, A couple of comments I missed here from Mike Reed. So today, MLB, you're almost better off being the third division winner. That may not be untrue, right? We talked about being, especially if you go in hot, right? If you go into the postseason and you're really hot, you probably don't want that time off. And we've seen the Braves suffer from it twice. And they kind of acted like those 2 days, hitting is a rhythm thing. And those two Braves teams were really good hitting teams, and they both just stopped hitting in the postseason. Now we've seen other teams handle it pretty well. I think last year maybe it was all four teams that got byes advanced, if I remember correctly. But we've also seen years where most of them lost. So it's really hard to pin down. We're still pretty early in this current playoff format, right? So going back to some guy named Nick Arno, I don't know who this guy is. He was saying, I don't know, Nick Arno. Back to the Little League Classic, seeing the kids with Ozzy. And, he was a superstar there. Was that Ozzy or is that – that's Ozzy and Curacao, right?
Yeah, it's Ozzy.
He was a superstar. Acuna got like a hero's welcome at that thing. Like all the kids were around him, like Rocky when he was running down the street, like it was kind of crazy. So I love the Little League Classic. I think it's something they need to continue. I love the Field of Dreams game. You need some stuff to mix it up a little bit. Maybe spread those out. Maybe put the Field of Dreams game earlier in the season, so they're not like 2 weeks apart. That might be a good idea. But we'll see. So, bottom line, we went through a lot of stats, and there are no stats there, Michael, that tell us the Braves can't win a championship.
It's true. It's very true. I mean, yeah. There's. I mean, nothing there says we're definitely going to blow this lead and not even make the playoffs. We're just as good as, I hate to say it, but the mediocre 2021 team that just went on a heater and won a World Series. I'm not going to glorify them like they won 110 games, because they didn't. They had the least amount of wins going into the of the division winners that going into the playoffs that year. We were not expected to do anything, and we just went on a heater and pulled it off and won the World
Yeah,
Series.
yeah, yeah. I will say, you could probably replay that postseason 10 times, and the Braves may only win that one time, but that's all we needed.
Yeah,
Forever, that banner will fly. That flag will fly. So we'll definitely take it. One thing I want to mention before we call tonight, and I assume you have some trivia for us as well.
I do.
Okay, real quick. Today, if you didn't see the news, of course, Jarvis was sent back down. We kind of thought that was probably coming. Brewer Hicklin was called back up. So the Braves are trying to maybe mix things up a little bit with the bats. We'll see how that works out. Look, Jarvis was a great story. I enjoyed watching the kid. I think he's got a future as a good utility player, but he's not going to be the everyday shortstop for the Braves going forward. Real quick, Michael, I just want to get your take. I don't think we talked about it extensively last week, but Ha-Seong Kim. Um, what are we doing? Is this Walt Weiss protesting? Let's go Braves. Silix, yes, sir. Is this Walt Weiss protesting Anthopoulos keeping Ha-Seong Kim around at the dead? Like, I don't know what to think about this situation.
I don't either. Actually, that leads me into one thing I wanted to bring up, especially it was about Ha-Seong Kim. You went over OPS plus.
Yeah.
So for point of reference, the record for a career for OPS plus is Babe Ruth at 206. And the record for one season is 281 by Josh Gibson.
Wow.
Yeah. Four well-known players have finished their entire career at an OPS of exactly 100. Players like Bill Buckner, Willie McGee, Kurt Flood, John Jay, the Cardinals outfielder, not the founding father.
Right.
Yeah. But to give you an idea of how bad Ha-Seong Kim has been, so his OPS plus for the season is minus 32.
That's insane.
Minus 32. How is it even possible?
That's insane.
So, given that, there have been 45,719 players who have played, who have had more than 85 plate appearances in Major League Baseball history. Okay. That OPS plus of minus 32 is 45,718th.
That's pretty eye opening. That's pretty stark. I knew it was bad. Yeah. Nick says, how do you get negative in on base in on base or slugging? Well, you got to be really, really not talented. If it's not a record, so it should be. I'll tell you this one too, Michael. Talking about his playing time, I just looked at it. Since August 1st, he has 3 at bats. 3, no hits, of course. 3 at bats. He's been in 2 games where he was a pinch runner and came in as a defensive substitution where he didn't even get an at bat. But in 4 appearances, he's got 3 at bats, no hits, no walks. He does have an RBI. He had a sac fly there somewhere.
Ooh.
But yeah, I mean, look, that's what I'm saying. You've got a $20 million player who's riding the bench, and you're not using him in any capacity. To me, you're just wasting a spot there. Yeah, we're going to do some research on that, Ned. Get Harrison on that, will you? Find out how you can have a negative on base or slugging percentage. Because it is weird. Like, did he run backwards one time? Like, did he? I don't know. That's kind of weird. Yeah, that's a good question. Let's get Harrison on that. Isn't he like the most intelligent of our group? Which is probably, it's like saying, Never mind. It's not saying much. I'll just say Silic says both of our shortstop prospects aren't the answer there either, so we need to go out and get someone. Well, we drafted a lot of shortstops last season, Silix. I don't know. I guess we're hoping one of them works out because I want to say we drafted like 5 because we had a lack of shortstops in our system, and then they went out and just went crazy with shortstops. So we'll see if somebody breaks through. You never know till they get to the big leagues, right? They can look great until they get to the big leagues. So we'll definitely find out. We'll see. Michael, hit us with last week's trivia and the answer, and then we will go to this week's.
Okay. So last week, we were talking about the primary closer for the 1995 World Champion Braves was Mark Wohlers, and he led the team with 29 saves. I asked you, and I asked Chad, who finished second on that team in saves?
Oh yeah, I've already forgotten who it was. No, did you give me a multiple choice? Why don't you give the crowd a multiple choice?
I didn't give the chat multiple choice, but I did give it to you afterwards. So the 5 other people that recorded. Well, sorry, the 5 of the people that closed a game. I can't say recorded a save because one of them didn't. Were Greg McMichael, Pedro Bourbon, Brad Klontz, Steve Bedrosian, and Mike Stanton.
Yeah, it's the last one I would have guessed. I remember that now. Yeah, it was the last one. All right, Mike,
the correct answer?
Yeah.
Correct answer was Brad Klontz. He had 4.
Yeah,
McMichael had 2. Bourbon had 2, and Stanton had 1. Bedrosian had 0.
Yeah, I would have thought McMichael. That's what Nick said. I would have thought. I think that's who I guessed first, or Bourbon. But yeah, that's interesting. All right, so real quick too, Silix wanted to make sure we knew he meant the 2 were ready. So yeah, for sure. We hope so. Like I said, we'll have to see how they play in Columbus, and then that's really your test there, making that jump. And Columbus is loaded right now, by the way. I live pretty close to Columbus, and I'm looking forward to hopefully. I mean, look, even if there's no Major League Baseball next year, we should have minor league ball. So maybe I'll become a full-time Clingstones fan for a season. But there should be a lot to watch in the Braves farm system next year. All right, Mike, what you got for this week, buddy?
All right, so this week, since we were talking about Kim's historically bad season, I looked to see if there was anyone possibly worse, even if I changed the threshold, because the threshold was 85 plate appearances. So once I changed the threshold down to 40 plate appearances. 40 is what, like a full week, maybe, possibly, maybe a little bit more, but that's about it. Yeah. So who holds the record for the lowest OPS plus as a position player with a minimum of 40 plate appearances? I will give you one hint. It is not a Brave.
Okay, I was about to ask, is this is for anybody, not just the Braves? Okay.
Correct.
Okay. That's a lot to choose from, Mike.
I know it's a lot to choose from.
Yeah. That's pretty cool. These are good, man. I'm glad we don't put money on these because I would lose a lot of money. All right, so everybody Google that because Nick says Ray Sanchez.
It is not Ray Sanchez.
Okay.
It is not Jeff Rye. Nick's gonna go. He's just gonna go through every possible person he could possibly think of. Yeah.
It has to be like some weird name from the 1800s, like Scooter McGrew.
It is not.
Something?
No, okay. I'll give you this. It is post 2000.
Oh wow. Okay. All right. Dan Ugly. You said no Braves. Okay.
Correct. It is no Braves.
BJ Upton. BJ Upton. He wasn't a Brave with whole career.
No, I don't think this person ever donned a Braves uniform. Let's put it that way. I don't think so.
All right. Okay. Fair enough. I'll stop throwing guesses out there. Silix said Cal Raleigh. This is why we're excited to have new viewers because they bring so much to the show.
Not Rayo Dornez either.
That's a good guess, though. We were just talking about it.
Yeah, he was.
That's a good guess. We could do this all night, guys. All All right, so we'll find out next week, apparently, Michael, because so we've thrown out a lot of guesses and none of them are correct. So we'll see. But hey, look, this was a good show. I like talking stats. We didn't just rant
Yeah.
the whole show, or I didn't. So thanks for keeping me sane. It was kind of a rough week, but it ended on a high note with the Little League Classic victory. And then going forward, big series with the Dodgers next 3 nights. One way or another, that's going to be overreacted to. If the Braves win that series, then everybody will say, oh, the Braves are contenders for sure, and it's not really going to mean anything. And if they lose this series, people are going to bury us, and that doesn't really mean anything either. You just got to keep playing the games, right? The Phillies' schedule's been a little on the easy side lately.
Yeah.
They got a West Coast trip coming up. They got to play the Mariners, who I know haven't been great, but still it can be a tough trip out there in that ballpark. So we'll see. The Phillies can't possibly play at a 1,000% pace. I would like to take a moment to thank the St. Louis Cardinals for completely choking away Game 3 of that series, too, having a 4-0 lead in the ninth. Kyle Tucker? Is it Kyle Tucker?
It's not Kyle Tucker.
Not Kyle Tucker. These guesses are great, though. I like it. So, yeah, we'll see what happens. Big 3-game set with the Dodgers. And, hey, look, our first show is officially part of the Rounding Third family. Really excited to be a part of that. Hope you guys will join us every Monday night. We're going to talk Braves, and we'll talk all nationally. We'll talk all baseball, but we'll talk mostly Braves and keep you posted. And we're headed for the postseason, Michael. I don't think we're going to fall completely out of this thing.
No.
Should be a fun and interesting final stretch of the season. We're about really only a month left, if you can believe it, man. It's coming up fast here at the end of the season.
Yeah, I feel like this is like we just started this podcast together. Like I know it was January when we started
Isn't that crazy?
my first
Yeah.
episode, but yeah, it feels like it was just yesterday.
Yeah.
But I fully admit I have gotten better since then. I was not very good the first show.
I think we've gotten better overall, and I think we got a lot. Look, there's a lot of great things coming now that we're part of this network, and we're going to do a lot of stuff. So super excited, and we'll see how things play out. So we'll be back next week and do it again, Michael, if you're up for it.
Yeah. I'm up for it.
All right, awesome. I'm going to try to make a non-ish clunky exit with our bumper music. So we'll see how it works out. So here we go. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next Monday night, guys. Thanks.